Hello, everyone. Welcome to our joint webinar with Software AG and our premier partner, Royal Cyber. We're very excited today to share with you what's going on in the world of cloud B2B. It really is the next frontier in transformation. My name is Rick Bennett. I am one of the partner account managers here at Software AG, and I'll be your moderator and host through the next hour. Joined with me today, we have our key speakers, thought leaders, Mir Mustafa from Royal Cyber. He is one of the head practitioners on the technical side of Royal Cyber. And then from Software AG, we have our Senior VP of Product Strategy for our API and integration, Mr. Navdeep Sidhu. So with that said, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Navdeep. As a reminder, this session webinar is being recorded. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please do drop those in the chat box, and we will have a Q&A session towards the end. Thank you so much for your attention, and we look forward to sharing with you. Navdeep, to you.
Okay. Thanks
sorry,
so much.
guys. One more thing, just to go through the agenda very quickly. We'll present on Royal Cyber and Software AG as an overview. We will talk about the webMethods suite and cloud B2B successes that we've had in joint partnership with Royal Cyber. And we'll talk about why it makes sense to do business with us in collaboration, our Better Together story. And at the end, we'll go through that Q&A. Apologies. And over to you, Royal Cyber. So we'll start with Mir.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, everyone. Royal Cyber Inc. is a mid-sized, fast-growing IT consulting and digital transformation company specializing in services, solutions, and software. We have more than 1,200 consultants across the globe. Our headquarters is in Chicago, Illinois, USA, but we have global presence with offices in Canada, UK, Australia, and the Middle East. We also have multiple offshore development centers in India. Our strategic partnership with a lot of technology companies on the globe, business agility, and follow the sun delivery model makes Royal Cyber an obvious choice for a lot of customers globally. Next slide. So we do provide reliable and high performing solutions and services on all the areas listed here on the screen, such as cloud, blockchain, e-commerce, big data and RPA, mobile integrations, APIs, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and so on and so forth. That's it from me. Over to you, Rick.
All right, well, I'll take it from here. So thank you, Rick, for an excellent introduction, and Mir for highlighting Royal Cyber and what your esteemed organization delivers. From the Software AG side, I handle the business development and product strategy for webMethods in North America, and a big warm welcome to everybody for finding the time during these uncertain times and joining us. We are very excited. And Royal Cyber is an excellent partner, so we are actually double excited to join forces with Royal Cyber today. And we hope that you will find today's session useful. So we'll start off with first introducing what Software AG is. So if there are customers who know Software AG, great. I hope they find some nuggets because we have many technologies that we sell. And if you are new to Software AG, so hopefully this introduction will help you understand what the company does. So we help companies become digitally connected and transform in a truly connected enterprise. We are a global company headquartered in Germany, and we serve 70+ countries. We have a strong partner network, and Royal Cyber is a great example of such partners. And the partner network is very vibrant, diverse, geographically dispersed as well. And the developer community has over 600,000 developers which are engaged in one or more of our products. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of an overview of the company. Some of our brands are Aris, webMethods, Alphabet, and Cumulocity. Right? So we will go deeper into webMethods today. And my goal is to give you a little bit of an understanding of what we do as we go along, but we will mainly focus on webMethods and B2B integration as we go along. So with the next slide, we will see that we talk about truly connected enterprise, and I'm sure this question is popping in your mind, and what exactly is a truly connected enterprise, right? So a typical enterprise has systems that could be self-hosted by that enterprise, or they could be hosted in the cloud, or could be hosted by a third party for them. And then there are employees that use those systems. There are IoT devices that are connected to those systems, and then the data is flowing through that network. So what makes an enterprise truly connected is the fluid flow of data between every person, system, partner, connect customer, so that every move is fully informed, automated, and analyzed. Truly connected enterprises, they form new kinds of organizations which are able to address problems and opportunities. And truly connected enterprises, they benefit from synergies amongst people, amongst different teams, software, and information. So these organizations, they learn from the feedback, what is happening right now to produce just-in-time knowledge for better decisions. And it is our mission at Software AG to enable companies become truly connected. By having applications, by having data silos, you don't become connected. You may have a lot of system silos, you may have excellent information which is tied up, but we bring that information out, we connect it, both within the enterprise, and as of today's topic indicates, we also extend that to your B2B partners. Okay. So with next slide, we will dive into the topic, and we will see that we have like a sort of a triangle here, and we use words like iPaaS, and I'll try to explain what that means. So we call it a webMethods iPaaS platform. You may be familiar with webMethods, integration server, trading networks, API management, those kind of technologies. And now when we talk about iPaaS, this is nothing but integration platform as a service. And that means that the API platform, the integration platform, microservices, B2B, MFT, there are too many to list here. They all are available in a hybrid mode. They are available in the cloud. They're available on-prem, as you may already be familiar with some of those on-prem technologies. And together we call it a multifunction platform, because it is not a singular iPaaS. This iPaaS covers all integration patterns from API management, API portal, gateway, B2B integration, MFT, and obviously the hybrid integration, which is our core capability to connect your applications no matter whether they are on-prem or in the cloud. So 4 things we say here is multi-use case. So whether it's an API gateway use case, whether you're connecting to a SaaS application like Workday, or you are doing B2B EDI with your partners. So multi-use case, multi-cloud, available on different cloud providers across the globe. Multi-persona, which means multiple, whether it's developers, whether it's a citizen developer, ad hoc developer, different types of developers with different types of IT skill can use the platform. And multiple deployment options. You want to deploy it in the cloud in US, but you want to use the service, cloud service in Europe, and you want to deploy it in Ali Cloud in China, all that is available. And this is why we call it a unified integration platform. We support B2B APIs, MFT integration, all in one singular platform. With that, we will move on and start focusing a little bit more on the B2B. So B2B is one of the oldest integration patterns, if you look historically. Companies started doing B2B roughly 30 to 40 years ago with the paperless office concept, and they started exchanging invoices, payments, and all the other good stuff electronically. Now, what has changed? What is the need to do something differently, and what is the need to improve? Now, if you look at what's happening in the industry today, by 2023, which means by next year, over 50% of B2B transactions will be performed through real-time APIs versus traditional approaches. What traditional approaches is typical EDI, right? So you may be even sending an Excel or an EDI document to your partner, and the document could be a purchase order, invoice, payment, whatever, right? Now, the new way of doing things is APIs. APIs are secure, they are synchronous. You make an API invocation, you get the result right away, right? So with B2B, you deliver a document, and the target party will then translate the document, do something with the document, and send a response back. So APIs are much more faster, they're much more secure, they're easier to adopt because all the new startups and new companies today, they are all well versed with APIs. Now, your EDI developers may find it a little bit difficult because now they have to learn a new tool set. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot stop this transformation, and everybody will need to introspect and add APIs to their B2B landscape over time. So with the next slide, we will go deeper into the B2B modernization topic, and we will also talk a little bit about what happens. What happens if you don't transform? So the world is changing. Cloud is transforming everything within the IT and beyond IT. 83% of enterprise workloads will be in the cloud by 2020, and we have seen 2020 went. During the pandemic, we actually sped up the transition over to cloud. We are all working remotely, as you can see. We are all dispersed in different geographical locations. We are all working from home, and the cloud is even more important because it actually enables those distributed workforce concepts. So cloud is gaining momentum. Fortune 1000 companies are seeing supply chain disruption due to pandemic, due to restrictions, due to delays in the supply chain, due to even weather, right? So, and it is only going to get worse as we go along. So 65% of procurement leaders have limited visibility into their tier one partners and beyond. So you can actually call up your tier one partner and ask them questions. But the moment you go into the tier two, the suppliers who supply to your supplier, right? Then there is very little to no visibility beyond tier two and tier three. So B2B actually beyond APIs needs transformation as well. APIs is one thing, but then you have cloud, you have visibility, you have disruptions. There are many angles to this modernization story and why you need to be looking at that. So with next slide, we will go further into the challenges of legacy B2B platforms. So first of all, it is high cost and complexity with low agility and visibility. If I started doing EDI 20 years ago, I will have a set number of partners. Those partners will rarely change, and I will have a certain amount of documents that we send and receive. That means those documents are not changing every month, right? So if I'm sourcing product A from a partner A and product B from partner B, things are likely to continue as we go along for years. So that means the need for agility was very low, and the visibility was not too great, because even if you didn't have visibility, you had enough visibility because nobody was using mobile apps and modern technologies on top of those B2B chains to see when my item is arriving. So if you didn't have visibility, you were probably okay with that. Now, if you hit the next button, you will see some more information here. So the whole idea is, how do these three things impact you? First is the integration complexity, onboarding challenges. That means now you suddenly need to onboard a new set of partners because customers are expecting something which you can't deliver due to pandemic or something else. And now you need to source that item from somebody else. But your B2B systems are just not capable of handling or onboarding a new partner. And finally, on the right-hand side, you see lack of business critical data. So business critical metrics, you cannot report on them. You don't even know how many orders and how many supply chains are broken at this point, right? So ultimately, if I were to summarize this, the cost of adding a new partner or changing a new partner interaction is too high. Onboarding is super slow. That means if you are capable of starting to sell a new product or product line, but you just can't onboard your partners quickly, there's a lost opportunity and a lost revenue. And we saw that. We saw time again and again during the pandemic, the supply chain, the retailers were out of all the way from milk to eggs to toilet paper and meat and everything else, right? So that is a great sign that even in this modern world, the supply chain still needs to be improved. All right, so with that, Rick, we move on to the next slide. Thank you. So let's talk about the scalability first. So the first challenge we are going deeper into is scalability. So added cost and complexity may lead to security issues, latency, and redundancy. So the moment we start talking to suppliers without having a scalable solution, they may be sending you some sensitive information in an email, in an Excel file. And Excel still has a lot of users that find it very easy to read, but it is also very insecure. So how do you fix that problem about the latency, redundancy, security, and how do you improve the scalability? Because these kind of manual interventions, they will not work for if when you're onboarding 500 new partners, right? You can exchange Excel files with a few partners here and there, but you can't do that for 500 to 1,000 partners. And how do you create point solutions, right? So instead of creating those point solutions, how do you get rid of those point solutions and scale elastically using modern cloud technologies to able to scale in the long run? The days of having a big server that can handle 5,000 partners are long gone. Now, if you're not exchanging documents, if you're not using that capacity, you should not be paying for it, right? So if you have a seasonal business, it makes even more sense. So creating point solutions works to a certain degree, but in the overarching scheme of things, it actually creates more points for failure and also limits your scalability. So moving on to the next slide, please. So now the next one after the scalability is partner onboarding. This is our challenge number 2 we're going to talk about. And then Mir is, after I wrap up my section, Mir is going to offer you some nuggets from the Royal Cyber side and how they do it and how they have done it for many, many customers using our products. So I think I touched upon the partner onboarding a little bit, but the inability to onboard new partners quickly can affect your revenue and also send your customers to your competition. So this is something that is usually overlooked. If you're onboarding 10 new partners and your B2B team says each partner onboarding takes roughly 2 weeks, you'll probably be okay with that. But remember that it's a lost opportunity for roughly 10 weeks. So the other thing is most of the legacy B2B solutions, their user experience is not very friendly. So maybe your team can access those applications, but your partner most likely cannot. So they cannot see what's happening on your side. So most of these, the third point is about self-service. So they may be able to access a little bit of the information that you have on your partners, but they cannot do self-service. Means if you are stuck, they cannot enter that information themselves because they know their information best. And they cannot access your system to enter their information to start onboarding themselves for B2B EDI or API-based transactions to do business with you. So that means the whole process is slow and legacy is holding you back from onboarding your new partners quickly. So with that, we go to the next challenge. And that is the critical data and end-to-end visibility or lack thereof. So if you don't have hybrid integration in this day and age, it means your partner information is inaccessible, incomplete, or not visible to the right parties at the right time, which means how much you can source quantity of product A versus product B from certain set of partners. You just don't know because you don't have that information at your fingertips. And secondly, incomplete and inaccurate partner profiles can turn any roadblock, turn into roadblock in a timely transaction. So what that means is if you are not supplying that information on time, you may have the goods ready, but you just missed the deadline for submitting that ASN, and now you have to pay SLA penalties, right? So the lack of correct data, lack of end-to-end visibility, and lack of the ability to provide transactional data in time can actually incur penalties, but more importantly, in this day and age, they will have serious partner satisfaction issues because you were not able to meet the SLA on time. And finally, the inability to identify document checkpoints and provide real-time status info to internal managers and third parties is also a critical challenge, because you just don't know and you don't have that visibility into what's going on into your supply chain. So you can't even tell your management when the goods are arriving from China. Are they into the container? Where is the container? And is the container arriving in 5 days or 50 days? So critical data end-to-end visibility, we have seen it is so important. It works when it's working, but when things don't go as planned, this becomes the #1 priority. With that, we go into the next slide. All right. So we have seen the challenges, right? So what if you could reduce your B2B infrastructure cost, adopt cloud, which may not even be on your radar? You may not be aware that EDI can be moved into the cloud, right? We all associate EDI with dated technology, legacy technology. So what would you do if you were to find out that now you can move your EDI to the cloud, and you can turn off those legacy and clunker EDI translators, which you haven't updated probably in ages, and improve your uptime and agility. And then secondly, you can onboard partners of any size quickly, whether your partner is in US or in China or Europe. You can onboard partners anywhere because they can access a browser. If they have internet access, they can onboard themselves into your system effectively for both EDI and APIs. If a modern partner wants to do APIs with you, why not? You can easily enable both EDI and APIs on the same platform. And finally, you can empower business users so that they can access data anytime and they can gain full visibility into the supply chain, into your interactions with them and their interactions with you. So this sounds very promising, and we actually can deliver on that. So let's see how we deliver on the next slide. All right, so this is webMethods. We call it the #1 platform for APIs, integration, microservices. It's not just us. We have been ranked as a leader by Gartner more than a dozen times, and also by Forrester more than a dozen times as well, in different categories, whether it is hybrid integration, whether it is iPaaS, whether it is API management. So there are many vendors out there. Some vendors specialize in B2B EDI, and these vendors cannot do API. And some vendors specialize in APIs. They cannot do EDI. And some vendors can do both, but they can't do cloud, right? So we are the only vendor, and this is the reason we are #1 in this area. We support all patterns, whether it is an integration pattern connecting to SAP, connecting to Workday, or an API pattern where you need an API gateway or API portal, or you want to run some of these integrations in a microservices fashion and in a sidecar fashion with Kubernetes, so that you want to scale up and scale down to optimize your integration cost. We can do that. And secondly, B2B integration with APIs and managed file transfer all in one platform. So this is our core product line at Software AG. And this is where when we say we bring information and data together to deliver a connected enterprise, integration and IoT work hand in hand to make that happen. So all the way from tracking a container using IoT, and all the way from B2B issuing the purchase order, which actually makes the container move, all can happen through our platform. So, and that is at a very high level. I'm trying to simplify for the sake of this conversation. But the point is, no matter what your integration challenge is, I can say with greater degree of certainty that we should be able to solve it. All right, so with that, we move on to our next slide, talking about modernizing your B2B. So we talked about the challenges. We talked about the webMethods being #1 platform. And now we just focus on the B2B, and the next few slides, we'll talk about how API-driven B2B can help you, right? So API-driven B2B, first of all, it is not just API-driven. API-driven means you can do APIs and you can do EDI. So APIs can be the choice for your new partners, but you can keep your existing partners on the EDI workloads. So onboard partners of all sizes that have unique integration requirements for partnering with you. You and your partners can transition to a cloud-hosted platform accessible to anyone with a browser. And finally, you can manage your transactions and gain end-to-end visibility across your transactions. And with that, we go into the next slide, which just talks about our rankings. So I mentioned earlier, and this is just a proof point, we have been ranked a leader in integration, B2B integration, iPaaS, hybrid integration, API management for many, many times, at least a dozen times by Gartner and a dozen times by Forrester. So I wouldn't go into a lot more detail. I think we can, if you're interested, we will take the conversation to the next level and we will provide the proof points as needed. But at this point, I would like to hand it over to Mir, our partner from Royal Cyber, and then go into a lot more detail here. Over to you, Mir.
Thank you, Navdeep, for the wonderful introduction about webMethods. So on this slide, we'll look at the partnership between Royal Cyber and Software AG that has worked really well for our customers. As you can see, we started with a very successful partnership with Software AG in the year 2020, right? So we started with one customer, that was a very happy customer, and with that we moved on. In the following year, we added 3 more customers to our kitty. All right. So each of these customers, if you look at the use cases we have mentioned on the slide, are different use cases. Some customers have pain points in terms of how do I move from a specific version of Software AG webMethods to the latest and the greatest, right? How do I do performance improvements into my existing integrations? Other customers are looking at are facing challenges like B2B, and which we are going to talk about one specific use case today. And there are other customers where they do have a traditional integration technologies, but they wanted to move away from it, move on to cloud, embrace cloud, move on to the #1 integration platform, the iPaaS solution, and so on and so forth. And we are going to deep dive into one such example right away. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I promised, I want to share this case study of a very successful implementation of webMethods.io iPaaS solution. Now, this specific customer is from LATAM. They specialize in B2B e-commerce solutions, and they are based out of Sao Paulo in Brazil. With over 25 billion transactions annually, their customer base includes more than 8,000 buyers and over 1 million suppliers. Now, they offer solutions such as e-procurement, e-sourcing, e-marketplace, as well as help desk, operational, and content services. Now, what are the challenges this customer was facing, right? So they are a B2B customer. They had some legacy solutions, homegrown solutions, which was okay doing what they were supposed to do, but they had a lot of challenges which was slowing down their business. Now, this specific customer had, in fact, all the pain points, the challenges that Navdeep just mentioned a while ago, such as slower partner onboarding, their inability to scale, and a lack of end-to-end visibility. Right? In addition to that, their buying cycle in itself was pretty long and very complex in nature, since it involved a lot of decision makers. Some of those existing systems, which are homegrown, that handle the order processing, were built on, again, legacy technologies. They just started using EDI to exchange information electronically with some of their vendor partners. However, there's a lot of manual effort being spent on validation verification, which was slowing down the whole process further down. The traditional homegrown applications were not supportive of the EDI technology in itself. So there's a lot of manual effort involved in validating those documents being exchanged. And invoices and payments were delayed, since typically received in bulk, and it takes a lot of time to validate them manually. So they are not able to start their business with new partners and new vendors to scale their operations. So they were literally slowed down a lot. Now, in addition to that, there was a dire need to eliminate all the manual effort and bring in some amount of automation to reduce the delays we just talked about. This also entails a need for a hybrid integration, which can auto-translate, for instance, the orders from XML to EDI and do the validation automatically and push the EDI files out to the partners and the response to the EDIs over to the homegrown systems, vice versa, after doing all the translation. Now, without having to maintain a huge infrastructure to achieve all of this. Now, to address these challenges, this customer was looking for primarily a cost-effective solution. There are a lot of solutions on players in the market, but they're pretty looking at somebody who's very cost-effective, offers a competitive pay-per-use sort of a pricing model, and the solution in itself should be easy to learn, aligned with the no-code, low-code, the unified platform that is pretty popular nowadays, and pretty easy to maintain and customize without having to incur any additional infrastructure cost. Now, those were, in summary, the challenges the customer was facing. So what did we do? So when we entered into a discussion with these customers, we are a B2B and integration experts from Royal Cyber. We conduct a series of technical workshops to understand the problem statement. And we prepared, in fact, a blueprint which laid the foundation for the rest of the project. Our experts found that webMethods.io iPaaS solution to be the right solution stack that ticks all their priorities. A cloud-based solution that comes with a best-in-class API, B2B, and integration capabilities with monitoring and analytics right out of the box, right? From a global technology provider that offers unmatched support to its customers and in fact goes the extra mile to deliver customer satisfaction. Now, this means the customer did not have to manage the infrastructure anymore. They can completely focus on building the solution that takes their business to the next level and really focus on the business. So webMethods B2B.io product was implemented seamlessly to seamlessly onboard new vendors and partners. An AS2 communication channel was established between the customer and each of their vendors and partners to securely exchange the ED documents. It also offers a very good tool to manage your certificates in it, right? So B2B module offers a quick and easy way of uploading your SSL certificates and managing their expiries. We also used integration.io. It was implemented to take care of the XML to EDI and EDI to XML translation task, and which would in turn deliver the process files either to the vendor of the translation or to the homegrown applications when you receive the EDI responses back from your partners. And webMethods analytics was configured to deliver a sophisticated, powerful reporting and monitoring experience. Additionally, we also provided a comprehensive training to the customer team and enable them to manage the platform by themselves. Next slide, please. So you must be thinking, what is the ROI? Well, let's look at some of the benefits, right? Number one, significant cost savings. There is no additional infrastructure cost and a zero cost solution for the vendors and suppliers. Now they have a self-service capabilities, the vendors and suppliers, as Navdeep was saying, as long as you have access to internet and a web browser, you should be able to onboard yourself after having exchanged some of those initial setup requirements. A big portion of OpEx budget can now be used for strategic initiatives like expanding the business instead of spending on the additional IT infrastructure cost. Number two, a rapid business expansion. In other words, accelerated vendor onboarding. They onboarded, in fact, close to 13 suppliers within few months of the project going live, which previously took them several months to accomplish, helping them expand their business at an enormous velocity. The third, significant effort savings. Error-prone, manual, mundane effort involved updating systems with order status and so on when there are issues and problems, and other tasks such as those are now eliminated completely, resulting in significant effort saving. Now your IT and the operational executives can really focus on resolving the business issues as opposed to tied up with all the IT related problems. Now, seamless integration of two enterprise business partners in a very non-intrusive way. Now, this solution allows the customer to automate the processes end-to-end from a back office ERP applications to partner systems very seamlessly. And fifth, the benefit that the customer realizes is application architecture in itself was streamlined, providing scalability, robustness, and ease of integration with any other application system. Now, what that means, right? So you can, I'll show you the architecture in a bit on the next slide, but that essentially allows them to integrate any of their back office applications with their any of the other solutions in place, and also seamlessly talk to their vendors and other partners with one solution, right? So one-stop solution that caters to all of their different needs. And this solution also offers reusable flows and services to eliminate dependency, redundancy, and give significant cost savings. So if one of your LOBs is doing something very similar to what you have done, they can in fact reuse your services as opposed to recreating them all over again. And finally, a comprehensive self-service real-time analytics portal, right, with automatic alerts for business users to see what's going on and take actions proactively, eliminating any dependency on the IT teams. Next slide, please. And here's the architecture of the entire application solution I was talking about earlier on. The top section, as you see, has suppliers and vendors are connected to the customers via the webMethods or IO, the B2B solution, right? And the bottom section on the same screen shows you how data from the homegrown systems are exposed using the webmethods.io integration layer. Now, the beauty of this one-stop solution, each of these modules are integrated, or they can seamlessly talk to each other with very little intervention from the developer perspective. Now, bulk of the processing happens in the integration layer, where it converts your XML files into EDA format and vice versa, and passes into the B2B layer using your IO, webmethods or IO B2B connector. Now, the B2B module can seamlessly send the incoming EDA files to the webmethods.io integration layer for processing and by invoking the integration service. Now, in summary, Royal Cyber experts replace the existing monolithic architecture, which is not really supporting the business to scale, right? It was a point-to-point solution, and it really stopped them from growing further into a new loosely coupled microservices aligned architecture that supports scalability and reusability of your services. Now, this allowed the customer to convert a wide range of their backend applications to ERP systems and others, and a large number of vendors with very minimal effort. Next slide, please. All right, so the next big question is why Royal Cyber and Software AG, right? So how this stack team can really help you, the attendee, in winning against the competition. So when it comes to Royal Cyber, we have deep skills in B2B space, middleware and integrations, APIs, cloud, automation, and other digital transformation practices we talked about in one of the initial slides. We have successfully implemented cloud B2B solutions for a lot of our customers across the globe. We have a very solid cloud practice team that has successfully performed assessments and integrations for many of our customers globally across different industries. We have also helped our clients migrate to a cloud provider of their choice. Now, webmethods.io is not tied to any specific cloud, as now we talked about a few minutes ago. It supports multi-cloud. So post the migration, we also offer cloud managed services to give you a complete peace of mind so that you can focus on your core business. Over to you, Rick. You want to talk about Software AG now?
Yes, fantastic, Mir. And that's why we love to partner with Royal Cyber, because you guys have such deep capabilities. When it comes to Software AG, of course, you've heard very extensively today from Navdeep around our focus on integration, APIs, microservices, B2B. But you may not be aware that Software AG has several other business lines. So depending on your organization and your maturity, you may be exploring things around IoT, the Internet of Things, and analytics. Also, we have a strong business unit around business process transformation. It is the understanding of process modeling, process mining, task mining, and RPA. And lastly, our legacy is application modernization, coming from the database and mainframe days. We have products that help to support those mainframes in modernizing that. So again, depending on where an organization might be in their maturity and in their own digital transformation, Software AG has a solution designed for you that can also be supported by Royal Cyber. So together, we help organizations achieve your strategic goals in many ways. Obviously, by understanding and learning in a consultative way what are your challenges? What are your blockers? And understanding the why behind it, the technical reasons that you're facing these challenges and how to overcome them. And then lastly, of course, is enabling your digital transformation based on those business use cases that were identified earlier. With Software AG, we also help provide our customers a flexible consumption-based pricing model. Mir had mentioned it before with Mercado use case, they wanted something that was going to be able to scale with them, almost as a pay-as-you-go type model. And last but not least, something that we do together in harmony is, again, keeping your success as a client and partner at the forefront of every engagement to ensure that you guys are seeing ROI, adopting, and seeing the outcomes that you were expecting through your transformation projects. So with that, we will move on to our next slide. Mir, back to you.
Thank you, Rick. And here is the nuggets that Navdeep was talking about early on, right? So for those who are attending the webinar today, we have a special offer. We call it a Jumpstart package. So if you're thinking about cloud transformation, B2B transformation, you have been having some of the pain points and challenges we have talked about, and you have been literally tolerating them for a pretty long time, and which is why you are attending the webinar today. I think this is an excellent offer that you should be thinking about. What we're offering today for all our attendees is a 4 to 6 week engagement program, completely focused on implementing one real world use case. And this is not a demo. Okay, this is not a demo of the product. This is not just a proof of concept. It is an actual use case chosen by you, our customers, and implemented by us, Royal Cyber and Software AG together. Now, this gives you as a customer an opportunity to see firsthand how you can benefit from Software AG webMethods as an iPaaS solution, and whatever we have actually said in this webinar, you can see those in action when we implement the specific use case. Right, so the use case starts with the planning phase, where we'll have an introduction session with your key stakeholders, identify the use case of your choice, and finalize them, and then set cadence with the right stakeholders for that next level. On the next level, we start doing the implementation, and we are pretty flexible in terms of where do you want to do the implementation, on your own on-prem, on the cloud offered by Software AG, or we can also talk about different ways of implementing the solution for you. And once the solution is implemented, we demonstrate the solution end-to-end to the right stakeholder to ensure all of your acceptance criteria for the specific use case are met to your satisfaction, right? And then once this is done, the last phase is we document whatever has been done, right from how we designed the solution to how it was tested, what are the test cases were tested as part of the exercise, and presented to your solution, to the stakeholders at the end of the implementation phase. And what happens next is very important, right? You may have some people within your team who knows the product in itself, who knows the solution, how to use, but most of the time what we have seen, the customers, they are really inundated with a lot of similar solutions in the market, and they're clueless in terms of which one to choose, which is why the classic case study we talked about today, they in fact had tried several other solutions before they talked to us. When they talked to us, we found out together that Software AG webMethod is the best go-to solution for their specific use case. So what we do after implementing the solution, we do an enablement session with your customer technical team members to not just transfer the knowledge of the solution in itself. If you also require specialized training and on the technology in itself, we partner with Royal Cyber with Software AG to provide you that as well. And then we talk about the next steps. How do we continue the journey from there, right? In terms of services, and what are the other support options available for you? Now, the duration we think of, it could take anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks, but this is not a hard and fast rule. Some of the engagements we have seen, the customers were pretty satisfied towards the end of the 4th week, and they say, hey man, this is what we wanted. Let's talk about the actual thing. Let's get on to the project. Let's start onboarding a new vendor. I want to do a pilot with the vendor 1 and vendor 2. They start putting the roadmap all the way for the rest of the year. For some other customers, depending on the complexity of the use case, it could go all the way up until 6 weeks. But that's the max we think for any use case you would pick in the pilot or the Jumpstart package. But that's it. You get one specific use case implemented in real time. You can see this, you can pilot it against your specific vendor of your choice, your partner of your choice, and see transaction flowing back and forth. We enable all the capabilities specific to the use case we talked about in today's webinar. And this is available for you and for those who have attending this session, and even for those who have registered for this session but you're unable to participate for whatever reasons. We have a recording of this webinar available, so you can always go back and listen to those webcasts on demand. And I think that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. If you have any questions, Eric, over to you for opening up the Q&A.
Yeah, Amir, thank you for that. And what a great offer that Jumpstart package is. I know we've seen great success already with some of our mutual customers in utilizing that. So what a great offer. So I do open it up to our participants who are in the audience here virtually today. I say go ahead and type your questions in if you do have some. But as you are typing those, we did have some come in earlier. And I would go ahead and kick it off with a couple of the questions that we have in queue already. So this may be better suited for Navdeep, but how is security managed with your hybrid connected B2B API iPaaS?
Great question. So B2B standards like AS2 themselves have security features built in where you can use a certificate, etc. Or if you're using MFT, SFTP, there's a key that you can use for security. So each standard has its own security, but then we go over and above, and you can combine different security mechanisms together. And for the API specifically, the REST standard or GraphQL will have their own standards for security. So the point here is that if you want to route all the traffic through a gateway, we can do that as well. We have a complete API gateway offering. Plus, for B2B, we have inside out, we call it reverse invoke type of invocation, which is a patented technology which removes any need to poke holes in the firewall. So no matter what your security need is, I'm happy to say that we'll meet those requirements.
Fantastic. Thank you, Navdeep. Perhaps this one we can toss over to Mir. Mir, you had mentioned as part of your Jumpstart, there is some knowledge transfer. Is more formal training available? And what would the average ramp time be to enable a resource?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, Rick. So yeah, that's true. So a complete training is available. Sort of a train the trainer model we also follow that. Royal Cyber experts can give you a comprehensive training on software AG solutions, be it the B2B integration, APIs, Cumulosity, and so on and so forth. The average ramp-up time typically depends on case-to-case basis, but we typically say there's a couple of weeks, good enough for you to really scale up, know the technology well, and start implementing it yourself, and even do the one specific POC you want to do it. We can help you do that as well. But I think a couple of weeks bare minimum, which includes overview of the functionality of the product in itself, and all the technical things that you could do with the solution. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for that. Perhaps this one back to Navdeep. In your experience, what has been perhaps a challenge when modernizing a B2B solution of a quote unquote competitor to software AG?
We need to be very clear. There is no migration in typical B2B scenarios. You have to do everything again, right? So it is basically rip and replace, which is very painful. And the good thing is you don't have to do it every 2 years. It is, if you're using a translator, EDI translator for the last 10, 15 years, it's about to change. You already have put enough miles on that car, it needs to be replaced. You can't upgrade the engine, and even the vendors, the same, even if you stick with the same vendor, most of the B2B vendors can't take you to the cloud. They won't be able to put API facade on it. So you will have to change it at some time. So with our technology, as Amir said, it's a very quick ramp up. We have solid partners, so I would encourage you to take a look. But I'll be very honest with you. There is no right click and upgrade or migrate to a different technology. It is a rip and replace.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Navdeep. And one last question we had in queue. Does Software AG have a multi-cloud iPaaS strategy?
Yeah, I can take that. So we do. In fact, we have even within US we support multiple cloud providers. So if you want to have a cloud region as your main region and then a different region as your failover, or a different cloud provider as your failover, we can certainly do that. So we do believe in the multi-cloud strategy, and we also notice that some of our biggest company customers they do prefer a multi-cloud approach for different reasons as well.
Very good. And with that, I do not see that any additional questions have come in. So I want to thank all of our audience participants who have joined us live today and those who perhaps are viewing this later on. Thank you so much. We're super excited to engage with you, talk about your B2B challenges and how Royal Cyber and Software AG can partner together to help your success. To get started, don't forget, write this down, info@royalcyber.com. Thank you once again.
Thanks all. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.